My name is Shannon Phelan, and I'm out of the Downers Grove Market Center, and I work for the Pollock Properties team.
My name is Eric Hamilton. I'm with Guaranteed Rate Mortgage Lender. My office is in downtown Downers Grove.
My name is Beth Gary with the John Gary team, and I work with my husband.
And my name is Sarah McCallowitz, and I am the Director of Operations for the John Gary team.
What are you all doing here today?
Talking about events.
So we have a couple of resources for you that we've created. We have a list of potential client events that you can, like, ideas for you. And that is, how do they access that again, Amy?
There'll be a QR code. You have to stay to get it.
Ooh. So we just brainstormed some different ideas for client events throughout the year. They can be seasonal, whatever. And then we're going to be interviewing these lovely people who gave us their time to share some of their expertise. So why don't we just kind of go down the row with my questions, and then this will happen organically, right? So first question, how often do you guys host events? Shannon, you want to start?
Sure. We primarily do something like every month. It's whether it's big, small, or, but big events are usually 4 to 5.
Okay.
Yep.
So Guaranteed Rate and events kind of go hand in hand. It was I'm sure you guys get invited to a lot of Guaranteed Rate events. So, we try to do 2 a week, but I think, at least for me, we change what an event is. It doesn't need to be 50 people. Some of our best events are events that are smaller, more intimate, where we can actually either speak to a smaller group of realtors, group of past clients. So I really had to change my mindset on that, because I always wanted to have these huge events, and we do that, but I have a lot more smaller events, and I consider an open house, a broker tour, any of those as events, and we treat them as events. So we try to do 2 a week.
I actually started with just big events because, go home, go big or go home, right? And then we were like, wow, some of these, it's just got hard to manage. So we have scaled it back where we're probably running 3 to 4 big events a year, and then matching that with small micro events. And we just kind of got into micro events and reverse bold 100s in the last few years, really, when COVID hit, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, so we typically like to do one big event each quarter, and then we cater that to, if it's cold outside, we try to do something inside, that kind of thing. We recently also got into public events. We did our first one last year. Over the summer, we did a dog event. And then, yeah, when COVID hit, we couldn't get people out to, come out of their houses. We did reverse bolds. So we started doing that, and we did that. We did 2 the first year. And then we tried to scale it back a little bit as we were doing, more in-person events. Then we scaled it back on the reverse bolds, but we do a mixture of both. And now we're implementing micro events as well. We just had our first successful one in March, and we have one in 3 days. This Friday.
Raise your hand if you don't know what a reverse bold 100 is. Oh, look at that. Oh, okay. Come on, DG. No, I'm just kidding. You want to tell them what a reverse bold 100 is?
That's you want
You
me
want me
to
so
explain it better.
a reverse bold 100 is who's taking bold. You take bold, and to get a bold 100, you're going to make 100 dials in a day. A reverse bold 100 is get them to call you for a day. So the carrot is you're giving away some kind of a prize, and you advertise it to say, call me and win. You're going to win. We've given away a green egg, a large Yeti cooler.
We gave away a TV the week of the Super Bowl.
Yep.
We gave away a Dyson Airwrap around Christmas.
Yep. So items and my, you don't have to overthink it, but I overthink everything. So my philosophy was, let's give away something that the average person wouldn't necessarily go buy. Like, they're going to go get an Igloo, they're not going to get a Yeti cooler, that sort of thing. So you advertise it for them to call in for the day, and they call in to win. We like to, obviously you want to lead generate around it. So if they do a review, if they haven't done a review for us, past clients, if they do a review, they get an extra entry into the drawing. If they have a referral, and that has to be name, phone number, email, like legitimate information they're expecting our call kind of, we would give them a few extra entries for that as well. But you have to be careful how you advertise that. I will say that right now, because then it looks like you're bribing them. So we would verbally say that. We would not print advertise that. But that's legitimately what we do.
That
But
sounds expensive. How did you pay for those gifts?
well, there's two ways you pay for those gifts. You can also get your lender partner. You get your
Eric
lender
has given
partner or
away
your attorney
their
partner to help sponsor that. So your events don't have to cost a ton of money. So to, work with the people that you're giving business to and that you're, returning business back and forth, and they will totally help support your business because they know in essence, they're supporting their business too. Because when you get the contracts in, that attorney is getting that contract, that lender is getting that buyer. So they know that you're in partnership with them.
Did you get 100 people to call you?
What was our record?
I think 107. I think
Yep.
that
Yeah.
sounds right.
Yeah, that was a long day though. That was a
And-
very long day.
And we did a bit of trial and error. We started doing calls between 12 and 7. So it's like kind of office is closed that day and we're only accepting calls between 12 and 7. And then we tried one time, I think it was the Big Green Egg. We did a 2-day call in. You can call this day or this day between these times. That did not go over as well. We didn't get as many calls, even though we had 2 days, which is very interesting. We don't know if maybe people got confused or, I mean, we advertised it the same way, but we found that one call-in day worked out best for us. And then we'll do, we like to do our call-in days on a Thursday, and then we do a Facebook Live on Friday to announce the winner with, I just use wheelofnames.com. You type in everybody's names and then you spin it. You can add music. You can make it spin for however long you want. And, you customize it however you want. And then you go ahead and spin that live and then it'll tell you the winner bright and big all over your screen.
The great part about this, new agents, if you get 10 calls, it's 10 more calls than you had before. You don't have, I mean, you call it a reverse bold 100, but it's not a failure if you don't get 100 calls. On average, I would get about 30 calls. It still was a really busy day. I was answering the phone 30 times and having conversations with all of these people, and I was teaching them how to refer. That's the key here. We're teaching them to refer us. And so we're asking the right questions when they call in. The other thing is if you're a new agent, sorry to I'm a panelist. The other thing that worked really well is we partnered with other agents in the office. So it kind of created some hype around it. We ordered in lunch. John LeGros, Chris Nava, Joan Wayman, and I all did it together. And it was a little bit less daunting because you're not there by yourself. So, okay. Next question. How do you advertise?
We advertise email, social media. We use it as lead gen. So we call our database, our 36 touch, our sphere. So we primarily start doing that depending on when the event is. We do it a month to 8 weeks ahead of time just to get the word out. So, but we just use all the different social media platforms, calling. I mean, it's a great way to lead gen because you don't always want to call about real estate. So, hey, we're having an event, and so that's what
we're giving you something.
We're giving you something, right?
Did you ever do paper invitations?
No, not usually. We usually Evite, Sign Up Genius if we're going to have different time slots for an event or something like that. But yeah, not usually paper.
So we do a lot of social media. One of the things that we did that helped out a lot is I created a private Facebook page for the realtors that I work with or realtors that I know, and then a private Facebook page for all my past clients, almost like a fan page. So we have direct access to them and we can, put fun things on there. It's not out there. We still advertise a lot on social media, but that helps a lot with event attendance. And then we also use text, a lot of video through BombBomb. And social media, we do a lot of phone calls. We have a computer system, kind of maybe similar to Command, but it will actually, I can record one voicemail and it'll send out voicemails to all the people that we invited. It'll send out a text and we will set up that campaign leading up to the event. I will just say this, the best events that we have, you have to start way in advance. I manage other loan officers, and the biggest mistake that I see a lot of people make is they're scrambling the 2 weeks prior to the event. And it really has to start, we're thinking about things months in advance and really everything, because it gets so chaotic as you get closer to the event. And you almost get to the event and you're not enjoying it because it felt so exhausting to get to that point. So the sooner you can back it up, yeah, exactly. So, and one of the things I do is I make everyone on my team do something for events. I feel like it should be a team. So if you don't have a team, that's understandable, but I want everyone to think of events as something that helps our business. And it takes a lot of pressure off myself, obviously. But I think it's not the event itself. I think even if people don't go, it's the idea of that you're staying top of mind with people. And I feel like that's kind of what the types of events that you have builds your brand. Everyone talks about brand and, it's a fancy word, but the types of events that you throw and the type of events you advertise, even for people that don't go, I will run into someone that I haven't seen in a year and they'll be like, oh, it looks like you have so much fun. And I love the idea. Sorry, I couldn't make it. So even if people don't go, they don't experience it's not going to deaf ears. Like they're seeing you and your brand. And I think that's the biggest thing is your invite list should be more knowing that not everyone's going to go. So
Yeah, I think all of that pre-planning is more important than the actual event.
absolutely.
Yeah.
We do basically, we don't do as much social media unless it's a public event because we do not have the group. That's a good idea. We should steal. So thank you.
Yes, no, it's-
That's a great idea.
I just
So.
stole it from a realtor,
Did
so,
you? Isn't
yeah,
that
yeah.
amazing? See, sharing is caring. Isn't that great? We do. Somebody said, do you do paper? And you guys are probably going to cringe at the cost of stamps, but we have certain ones we do invitations. We used to do a fancy dinner. And we would have fancy invitations that went along with that, along the lines of like a wedding. COVID kind of killed that event. And then we kind of pivoted and that turned into a backyard event now. And our clients have actually, the response we got from that was they actually like that better than the Japanese steakhouse. So it costs us a lot less money. It's a lot more fun and it's more casual and they can come for more than just eat and run, So we have done paper invitations as well. What else
Yeah.
would you say?
If it's a public event, we put out paid ads through Command. If we're anything that we're promoting, whether it's to the public or just to our database, we totally our target is 6 weeks prior. 6 to 8 weeks is when we want to start promoting it to them. If it's 4 weeks, then we feel a little bit behind, but we found that 4 weeks is still enough time. Then, I mean, we've put,
Depending on the event.
yeah, we have put them together, that quickly, but we like to have everything planned definitely 6 to 8 weeks in advance. Yes, and then we do MailChimp as well. So our MailChimp is where we send out all of our emails. We have our database in there tagged as client or leads. So you can easily choose who you want to send out an email to. If it's not a public event, we can send it to just our clients. If it is, we'll send it to the whole MailChimp database. So we use MailChimp a lot. And we like to do that. I believe we do about every week. We'll send it out and like, okay, 1 month away, 3 weeks away, 2 weeks away, those kinds of reminders. And I mean, it's the same email. We just put a different time on it.
Are you using Command to, like with the task thing to remind you to send out like certain advertising at certain times during that 2-month period? Anybody?
I don't use Command for it. I just put it on my calendar.
Okay.
That's all.
How about you, Shannon?
We use calendar. Yeah.
Okay.
We have a calendar that we use.
And it triggers you to do certain things?
Right. Yep.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah.
Do you enjoy capping events? Like, do you not enjoy, but do you think that helps get people interested? Like only 50 spots or only 20 spots? Do you think that?
Kelly from Borman asked if capping the events at a certain number of people attending helps attendance and gets people signed up more quickly. Have you ever done that? Anybody?
Yes. We just had a couple micro events that we did that with. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
did you think it created urgency?
I think it depends on the event, but absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it definitely helps out.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we did with the capping, we did board and brush. And for you ladies that are familiar with board and brush, it's like the wine and sip type things. That was like, I mean, it was like they were dialing in for $1 million. Like that email went out and my freaking phone was blowing up. They're like, sign me up. Am I too late? I'm like, the email went out 30 seconds ago. You're good. I mean, so that one was crazy. And we're doing axe throwing and that one wasn't as, like they weren't, dying over it. So I think it depends on the event.
Yes.
Do you give your clients takeaways? So at the end of the event, do you give them like a goodie bag or something to take with them? Always, sometimes, never?
Sometimes we do, depending on the event. So if we do, we've given away Frisbees that are branded, or we've given away, I mean, we always, if we're gonna have water, it's always branded. So it's something is usually branded that they can take with them. It's never really super expensive. It's just, you always want them to walk away with something with your brand on there.
And while I have you with the microphone, tell them a little bit about your Facebook Live events during COVID, because those had takeaways. I mean, they got to take what you made.
They did. So during, obviously, everyone had to pivot during COVID, and we still wanted to do our events. So we did Facebook Live. So we did how to make a charcuterie board, and we just, everything that we used, we then gave them a gift certificate that they could go buy it and make the charcuterie board. Or we did how to make homemade cookies or decorated cookies. And so yeah, so we just, we always usually give away whatever we were making, we would give away during COVID.
Mhm. And you promoted a small local business person by
We
doing
did,
that.
we did, yeah.
Okay. What is the biggest lesson that you learned after hosting your first few events? Like the biggest hiccup, or like, oh, we need to do this differently.
Don't stress. Like, I think it's just don't stress. Don't worry. Like when I first started doing this, so this will be my third year with the Pollock team, was, are people going to show up? And like you send it out and people aren't RSVPing, or, you know, but you're still getting your brand out there and you're advertising, and they know that you're doing it. So they will show up. If they don't make that event, they're going to make the next event. So I think it's just, don't stress that you're not throwing the right event, or you're not, you know, they'll come. Yeah.
How about you, Eric?
Yeah, I would just say, I would say the biggest mistake was not the event itself. It was the post event. I'm sure you're going to cover this, but that's the thing that first came to mind is, you know, I don't think we did a good job in the beginning on the follow-up. And that's really the key. The event is great and you get a lot of momentum, but if you don't capitalize on it after the event, and I will say that we actually have everything kind of structured on what we're going to do after the event, before the event. And what I mean is, the last thing you want to do is walk into the office on Monday morning and be like, okay, well, now what do we do? Because then it's just too late. You got to kind of have your thank yous and all the things kind of structured. And I think that was the biggest mistake, where we just didn't do a good job of the follow-up. And so now I almost say we focus on that, if not more, or just as much as the actual event itself.
So what are you doing post-event, and who are you thanking, for example?
Yeah, so one of the things we did, kind of take it back a little bit, is we started inviting significant others where they could bring, now it's more money to the event, but we found that we got a better turnout because a lot of people didn't want to come by themselves. Now, obviously you're inviting families, that's different, but so we always let them bring people. So, you know, we're capturing that data at the event itself. You know, we always send out a thank you email, a follow-up video. I use video a lot, where we're going to post pictures of the event. Now you got to be careful too, because if you are not inviting all your customers and you're posting all these fun events online, they're going to be like, how come I'm not getting invited to it? But you could be strategic to it in the sense that people would be like, oh, I want to be a part of that. And that's kind of where the private Facebook group comes in, is it kind of allows us to do a lot on there with our past customers. So we do a lot of voicemails, video. We usually try to send something out to them too after the event. So we have a big event coming up at the end of the month here, and that's what we're working on now, is the follow-up and what we're going to send out. And
What types of things do you send out?
it depends on the event. So we have an event. We did a Christmas event, and we sent a little ornament out afterwards as a thank you. So they got it before Christmas. We're doing a big movie premiere for Top Gun. It's our big signature event.
Does everybody know what Top Gun is?
It's Top Gun Maverick. So it's a new movie coming out. So we're renting out a movie theater, and we're going to have 500
awesome.
people there. And it's actually the night before opening night. So we had to work with the movie studio. So we had a lot of lead work to do. So we're going to send something out, you know, something that has to do with Top Gun. And again, it doesn't need to be a lot of money. It's the surprise of getting something that they weren't expected. So you can spend $3 on something, and the fact that they got it after the fact as a thank you. And we do a lot of QR codes in our gifts. So when they get the gift, they can scan it with their phone, and then it'll play a video. So you record a personal video. thanking them, and it'll play when they get the gift. So it can be a postcard that says thank you with a QR code that plays a video that says thank you. So really cool stuff you can do. It's not a lot of money.
I love that you send something after the event as opposed to giving it to them then, because then you have another touch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then, obviously we look at the guest list. Is there someone that we don't do business with where they have guests with someone else? Can we follow up with them? What's the opportunity? I'm not a very strong I don't ask people for business. I'm probably the least salesy mortgage guy. I just make sure I'm really good at what I do and hopefully organically get business. But so I try to make it a very soft approach and just be able to provide value in other ways. And events are a great way to provide value and get people to want to work with us.
Do you send anything to the people who were invited and didn't attend?
I will always keep them on the video. Like so I hire a videographer for my big events, and I will send out kind of the recap to everybody of the event. I think it's really, really important. There are some super simple video apps where you can take 10-second videos. You can pay $20 and you can take, 20 of those clips, put them all in a video. It'll splice them all together and you could send it out. You do not need to hire like a $500 videographer. There's some really inexpensive ways to do that. And you could take those little 10-second clips, you send it out to everyone. And again, that's the people getting to know, seeing everyone there, and seeing, again, letting people know what your brand is. And maybe next time they're going to go, because maybe they were unsure the first time, but the next time they see, they'll get that. So I think it's really important to share that. I'll get it before it's on my phone. I don't want to take it out. So
I'll ask my teenage daughter.
yeah, I'll give it. Yeah.
Anything to add, Beth,
No.
to the biggest lesson you learned?
That was just, the biggest lesson I learned. I would say it's a follow-up where we missed the boat on and it all goes to planning, where if we would plan it better in our schedule, say, okay, now the event, now you said like, now what?
Yeah.
We need to get better at the now what, where we can take the time to put it into your daily lead gen to say, let's reach out to the people that couldn't make it. So that's a big missed boat where people are like, oh, they didn't come. It is what it is. Don't just focus on the ones that are there.
Yeah.
So would you say that's about it?
Okay.
Yeah, I would say so. I think the only thing is the backyard event, we've only done it for 2 years. The first year was COVID and we threw it together in 11 days. And we had 55 people show up. There were people at that point, it was October. People wanted to get out of their house at that point. And then when we did it last year in September, we had 166 people show up. And I think especially when it's a new event, give yourself grace with structure, because we learned after last year that there were people that were in John and Beth's backyard that they didn't even get to see, and they were there for hours because they're socializing and they're talking to everybody, and everybody's eating, playing games, having a great time. And then you see the pictures after the event and we're like, we didn't even know that they were there. They checked in, we didn't know that they were there. So give yourself some grace, especially when it's new events. And there's something else I was gonna add and I forgot. If at the minimum for planning, if you're going to do multiple events in the year, at least have a date set in stone. Because when we have people that reply, let's say it was our micro event, oh, we'd love to go, but we can't make it. Then we're like, okay, well, we've got this event already on the books for June. And so make sure you keep this day open. So we tell them if they RSVP, no, we have this coming up. So make sure you're looking out for, an invitation for this or an email, however we may be marketing it. But even if you don't have all of the details yet, at least have a date set in stone for the day that you want to do something.
And Eric mentioned this a little bit before. How do you know who shows up? Like, what's your check-in system? Is it iPad? Is it paper? Is it nothing? Is it name tags? What is it?
On our big events, it's what do they use? I don't know if it's
like a computer.
Yeah, I know it's on the computer. It's like it's a Google form, I
Okay.
think. And then all they have to do is type in the information. If they RSVP'd yes, then they use Eventbrite.
Yeah.
Yeah, we use
That-
Eventbrite.
yeah,
'cause
yeah.
It's got the
To
check-in with
RSVP.
the.
Oh,
Well,
and
it
the
has a
check-in.
check-in too. You
Yes.
can use your iPad Eventbrite, it'll create a page.
Yep.
And then when you close it down, it'll send you the list
Yep.
in an Excel.
Oh,
spreadsheet.
amazing.
Yeah. And you can also use Google Form. We use Google Form for our reverse bolds. So whenever somebody calls in, we already have the form built, name and all of their information, and then you just submit it, and then that will also generate a nice clean spreadsheet for you. So in the event that you don't use an Eventbrite where it might generate the RSVP list for you, you can easily do a Google form where you could type it in. The smaller events, especially the micro ones, we know who's going to be there, and typically for those, we do have like the takeaways, giveaways for them to go home with. So we'll have those lists are a lot easier to manage, but the big events, something electronic always helps.
And when you segment your events, so you decide you're only going to invite these people to the steak dinner or whatever, how are you choosing them? Have they referred in the past, past client, like what? How are you-
VIPs.
Location?
Yeah, we recently set up basically a VIP list, but we did like platinum, gold, silver. So it's in tiers, and you can obviously make those tiers however you want them. We structured ours. They're platinum client or VIP platinum client if they gave us 4 referrals. If it's 2 or more, they're in the gold. And if they've given us at least 1, then they're in silver. So depending on the event, then if it's like a steakhouse situation, we'll send those out to the platinums. The micro event, the board and brush that we just marketed that one as a girls' night out. So that's how we got that, all of the responses
But there
on
were
that one.
platinum and golds though. Platinum and
Yes.
gold girls.
Yeah, we put them out to the platinum and gold gals that are in our list.
Okay, cool. All right. Do you see an ROI on your events? Like, do you get an uptick in business after your events? Have you noticed a noticeable difference? Are you collecting referrals at the event? Does any of your follow-up include asking for that business? How are you getting a good ROI?
Well, we do the Eventbrite too. So we are definitely getting their information. We just started doing micro events like with like our top refers and, but pretty much we invite like everybody, like depending on the event that we're doing. But we that's one of the things that we are that we're working on this year is the follow-up and tracking, like, okay, so then this many people were invited, did we get a referral? Like, that's what we're working on this year. So but we definitely do get business from our events. But that's what we're working on this year. That's our goal, is the follow-up and the tracking of it.
Eric, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, I don't really look at the ROI that much. I kind of feel like it's something I need to do regardless if there's a return on investment. I think the cost is too expensive not to do it. It's kind of, now obviously we have an Excel document where we track every expense that we have and we monitor that. We know how much we want to spend on events, but I don't do it for referrals. I really, I look at it, you have to provide an experience and a value to the people that you work with, and the rest will take care of itself. I mean, honestly, like if you do an event and you're expecting a lead from it and you don't get it, you're not going to do it the next time. And that's really not the spirit of, I have people that will send me business 2 years after an event, or a year after an event. So I think it's really important not to go into it with the expectation of getting business out of it. You're really building your brand. And I think that's the most important piece. Yeah. And you just never know who's going to see those events online and social media and want to work with you just because, wow, look at, they're having a lot of fun. My realtor didn't do that. My lender didn't do that. So that's what we're trying to create.
Do you post, so you guys have talked a lot about
Yeah.
social media. Are you posting on your personal page, business page, both, sharing?
So I'm post everything on my business page and my Instagram and LinkedIn. I do not post on my personal page just because I have I'm weird about it. I just have a lot of friends that, don't want to know about my two-day posts, about, credit stuff or whatever. So I try to be respectful of that. I think there's a good strategy where you have it all in the same. I use social media to stay top of mind, just like I use events. I don't do it, though I do get leads from it. It's not why I do it. I ran into a bunch of people that I haven't seen in a long time over the weekend, and they were all like, oh my God, I love your social media. I love, you're everywhere. And I was at a thing for my son's school and they were like, oh, you're everywhere. I don't think of it that way, but I'm staying top of mind. That's all I care about. That's all I want out of it.
Totally. So if you just have it on your business page, how are they seeing it?
Because a lot of them, if they're on Instagram and Facebook, they're already liking my page because I don't have a personal page on my Instagram. So
Okay.
that's how I get around that. So almost all my friends see all my stuff on Instagram or LinkedIn. Listen, I think LinkedIn is one of the biggest,
Underrated.
opportunities. Yeah, it's so underrated. Every single person that has a LinkedIn account, every single one. And people don't use it enough. And I get more leads from LinkedIn than I do anywhere else and more responses to my events from LinkedIn.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do you tell your clients to invite friends and family that you don't know?
We are just starting that. We literally, that is one of our 2022 things, that we said, let's try to spread the sphere a little bit more. But with, I lost my train of thought. Something you said, no, before what you were saying. It'll come back to me.
LinkedIn,
No,
personal page,
it's gone.
business page.
It's Sarah sees this all day long. It's like
She's
just
like,
gone,
it's gone.
gone. Yeah,
Good.
it's fine. Yeah, so that's all right.
You'll
Okay.
remember on the car ride out
That's
of
right.
here.
Yeah, you take it from here.
Okay.
All right. Let's talk specific events. Give me your top 3 favorite events and why.
Dog events, because everyone has a dog.
Like dog photos or?
We do any type, like we've done ice cream social. We did an ugly sweater parade last year at Christmas time.
The dogs had to wear the sweater?
They did, and
That's awesome.
and their owners if they wanted to, and we had a selfie station. So this year we're thinking of doing it again, and we're gonna have Santa there this time so they can take a selfie with Santa. Anything with dogs is always, we do letters to Santa, which is
That's like one of my favorite things you
it's
guys
my
do.
absolute favorite event because the Pollocks have the mailbox right outside their home. And we started it during COVID. And the first year we had 140 letters and we write back to every single one of them. And then this past Christmas we had close to 200. And it's, the letters are just what they write and it's amazing. So Santa letters, anything with the dogs that we've done. And we're actually doing a shred event in a couple weeks too. And that's a great event too. So people just love to get rid of their
stuff.
paperwork, get rid of their stuff. And we're giving away
Do you
hot dogs.
do you serve like beer or something?
We're doing
or-
Chicago style hot dogs.
Oh, okay.
And so we partnered with a local bank in Lamont and our library. So
Cool.
yeah. Yep.
Okay. Eric, favorite events and why?
So I started doing this previously and I think it's made our events a lot easier. I like events where the infrastructure is already there. And what I mean is like, we did at the Arboretum, they have the Christmas lights. So one of our big events actually had a windstorm and we couldn't have it, but if we would have had it, we rented out a room. I like where they can go do something. Like, I feel like there should be an experience for them that doesn't just involve talking to me. So we did it at the Kris Kringle Market one year in Naperville where we had a warming tent is what we called it, and food and drinks. And then people could come in and warm up, but then go around and do other things. It's a lot less expensive to host an event where the infrastructure is already there. So any, beer festivals, there's 100 of them. You find a list of all of them, and then all you have to do is rent something at the event. And now you're not having to create the infrastructure for the event, which is the expensive part. It's already there. This Top Gun, Tivoli actually came to us and asked us if we wanted to do it. And we said yes. Concert in the Park. I sponsor the Concert in the Park in Downers Grove. So we host a lot of events there. Again, the concert's already there. And then we host, people at the event. So the easier you can make it, the better event. And you're giving people something else to do that doesn't involve just, I've had events where we just come in and everyone doesn't know what to do and it's kind of uncomfortable. And if you have something else going on, like a beer tasting or whatever, they can bring their families, they can go have fun, and you're just there to kind of, as a host, which I think helps out a lot.
So how many events have you guys been to where somebody pays for a table and they're just there with their table and they're giving away like their flyers or whatever?
Yeah.
Like all the time, right? And I never rent those tables because it's kind of boring. But taking it to another level where you're offering some type of side experience.
And
hot
think about like all
cocoa
the,
or
like the, what is it? The Rotary Fest in Downers Grove, or these festivals, they all have a beer tent. You could rent a tent there. You could have all your clients. All you're doing is paying for the wristbands, and you have seating, you have reserved seating. When you go to a fest, it's hard. Like there's a lot of these events out there. And I'll just say one last thing, like anything to do with charity, I think is veteran organizations, things like that. Again, there's a lot of them that need help, and you can piggyback and invite your clients to help out, I think is always very helpful.
favorite events and why?
So Santa has been one of our favorite events. COVID kind of messed that up, but it is what it is. We like that because you go, and I don't have kids, but you go to get pictures with Santa, and I hear they're charging upward of $40 for a picture. So we would do like printed pictures with Santa, and our clients really like that, our younger parents and things. So that one's always been one of my favorites.
Was Santa in the office? Did you have a little
So
house for him?
At our old office, our managing broker would rent out a nice banquet hall. So that was kind of like a whole office thing. And then what we did when we moved over to KW, you were in the room. This was where we did it in this very training room, and did a nice backdrop, and worked with a couple other teams as well to bring in Santa. So they really still love Santa.
And we had other activities for them to do too.
Right.
So after they took their picture with Santa, we had some kind of crafts for the kids, and we had hot cocoa and
Yep.
donuts, cookies that they could take home, those kinds of things.
Yep. And then we've done so many different things. We've done bowling, we've done the movies. What I don't like is, on a selfish end, what I don't like about those is they're sitting in a dark movie theater for 2 hours. You don't get to entertain, you don't get to, intermingle with them. So the backyard event has turned into my favorite, because they can come and stay as long as they want. The last person left our home at 3 a.m. It started at 3 p.m. So they can come and go as they please. Yeah, well, you know what, it is what it is. But
Did
that's,
you cater it? Did you
so yeah,
cook?
we had a taco guy come in, and they cooked tacos. We did a 3-hour span of that. And then we had a bartender, and we just kept it simple, beer,
Yeah.
wine, and margaritas. And,
We
we had all kinds of yard games, so,
We
we
also
had.
had Hutch, we had live
Oh yeah,
music.
we had live music too. Yeah, and that was amazing. So people just really enjoyed it.
And
And
this was at your house?
this was we have
Yeah.
a very large yard, so we were able to house it. We're on a little over an acre, so we were able to do that and pull it off. And we're next to the high school, so we had plenty of parking.
Oh,
It was
nice.
perfect. So yeah.
All right.
How many people was the backyard?
166.
Yeah, we've done it twice. So the first year we threw it, like I mentioned
Like,
earlier, we
we
threw it
just doused for
together
dollars.
in
Yeah.
11 days. They were sick of not being able to see their clients anymore. And in 11 days, we had 55 people. And that's families, like parents and their kids. So, I mean, including the kids as well. And then the second time we ran it last September, we had 166 people there. But what I was going to piggyback off of, I think in 2019 was my first year with John and Beth, and they were all about the Japanese steakhouse dinner. And when they were closed during COVID, we couldn't do that. And then we pivoted to the backyard event, and the Japanese steakhouse was definitely their favorite. And then the backyard event came along, and we got the feedback that we got from that first group of 55 was astounding. I mean, we have kids that were recommending, next year you need a volleyball net. What do we do? Okay, we got a volleyball net for the next year. So what we really learned from that is that we're going to implement in 2022 is to do some sort of survey after the event that we can send to them. And it's going to be very, very short, but how did you like this event? Would you come back? Would you do it again? What do you think what are your suggestions for next year? Something like that, because we did not realize, because we had a lot of clients that were at the backyard event that would also come to the Japanese steakhouse every year that said, we like this better. And we were like, oh, all right, well,
And we're thinking we're being all fancy with this. I mean, it was like we were serving filet. Do you know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
it's like was nice. and they're like, oh, the backyard's
It's-
better. Like, give us the taco guy. We're like, you
Yeah,
know, so that was a big aha, and it was a fraction of the cost,
yes.
you know, needless to say.
And I'll say what my two favorite events are. I do an ice cream social in downtown Clarendon Hills every year right before school starts. Costs me about $150, and people just walk down with their families, the kids. Nice family event. It's not too expensive, and like it's a great way to chat with them. And then I have a table with like coloring
Mhm.
set up
Yeah.
for them so they can
Perfect.
linger if they want. And then at the end of the first COVID, you know, when things loosened up, beautiful. The weather could not have been more perfect. We rented a taco truck. Again, Joan, Chris, Jen, and I rented a taco truck and in a church parking lot, and everybody tailgated with their tacos. So
Yeah.
they came up, got their plate of food, went back to their tailgate. So everybody was spread out and hung out. And we kind of just went around and said hi to everybody. Oh, that was so fun. And it was like, oh yeah, and a mariachi band. Yeah, that was so fun. I love that. We got to do that again.
Yeah, I would definitely say don't underestimate the power of a taco truck, an ice cream truck, or a sprinkles cupcake truck, anything like that. Last year we did our first dog ice cream social, and it's very similar to our backyard event, except we rented a part of the park where dogs were allowed, and we opened it to the public, and we had human ice cream and dog ice cream.
Right.
So people would check in at the front, and then they would get a ticket for ice cream, and they would get a ticket, you know, for each dog that they had, and we had the dog ice cream there too. But then we also had yard games. And then we were at Northside Park in Wheaton, and we happened to let the dogs all go swimming in the pond. So I don't think some people were prepared for that, but I mean, that was a nice addition. So those two events are very similar, but one is targeted towards the public and allows dogs, and then the other one is more for our clients. And I mean, some people will still bring their dogs, but
Right.
can't get too carried away with that.
Cool. What questions do you guys have? Serious.
After you letting me do events with you.
I love that. After you letting me do events with you, yes, you can. No.
Years to even get on board with doing events. So then I was nervous that no one's gonna show up. So if you don't feel like you have a lot of people that are gonna come, just do it with someone else
Yes.
or a couple other agents, because
It's
your
huge.
clients aren't gonna know whose clients are whose.
Correct.
They just think that, oh my gosh, look at how many people.
Yeah. And we did, Jen and I have done 2 Facebook Lives recently, and you don't know, like, is nobody gonna watch? And they were so fun. And last time I checked, like a day after the event, I had 400 views. So I don't know for whatever reason, I mean, you're still getting that touch point, right? People are still seeing you out there, and you're doing something fun and whatever. And there was a lot of interaction, you know, people asking questions and whatever. So even that, and that was in my kitchen, and it was an hour of our time. It was super easy, and it just gets you out there. Yeah.
Have any of you done block party?
Have any of you done a block party?
Block party, and if you can share, I mean, it's my first time. I want to do it this year, but I believe it's the first time in our subdivision as well. Should I get few other people on board with me to do it? Like, I don't know, you know, if you've done it, then just share if you can, any of you.
And I would probably just say it's, again, it's just, don't overthink it. It's your subdivision, it's your neighbors, it's, you know, I would just keep it simple, and especially if it's your first one.
Maybe a pop-up.
Yeah, absolutely. Potluck or, and what they did too, we all live in Lamont, but they had a Facebook group that was of the subdivision. So you add people that way, and that's an easy way to advertise it as well.
So when you say host a block party, do you mean just organize it, or do you mean pay for everything?
I'm not paying for
Okay,
it.
good answer.
Still in my first
Right,
year.
no, good answer.
I remember that, yeah.
So just organize it and get it
I
launched.
need an organizer. I
Yeah.
don't mind sponsoring like one of the things, could be popcorn or I
Right.
don't know. But I want to have like people like, you know, participate, and I don't mind like even going and inviting people, you know, because I kind of am not a door knocking person, but I think if it's an invitation for the block party, you know, they would be more welcoming, and it's a nice way to, you know, kind of just like get to
For sure. Chris?
One other thing too, that is kind of to start off too, if you didn't want to start off with just a block party, but is also, you can organize even just a local garage sale too, like if people wanted, you know,
That's
in
what I
your
was thinking
subdivision,
too,
yeah.
I've seen
Like,
a lot of people do that.
okay,
So what, do it too?
yeah.
So two things. One is to your point, and then the other one is for you guys. So I live in a subdivision. There's another agent, which I love and hate her too, because she throws the best events. But what I did is I got on the board, I got on the HOA, because the cost of a block party, it's expensive. So I got on the board and I arranged with my neighbors, and we're throwing a block party in 3 weeks. Now, we kept it clean where you can't advertise, oh, I'm a realtor, oh, I'm this. But with the mailings I've been doing throughout the months, everybody kind of knows my name and knows I'm a realtor. Now, me being the head of the block party organization, they're like, oh my God, Tatiana, you're this. So they connect that and they see you as part of the community. And it's been working great. And we're doing a potluck. We're bringing a wildlife guide, magician, bungees, food truck. It's the whole thing. But I'm kind of the head name on it, and people associate, and some people even think I'm throwing, which I'm not. They try to speak, but I'm associating my name and my kind of brand, I will say, with my mailings and my farming and that. The other side of the question for you guys is, as a solo agent, I'm trying to start client events, but more for my farm. I want to just keep it about my farm. So I've been thinking about doing like an ice cream truck or something in my backyard or house just for my farm. But my question is, how do you navigate yourself on those events if they get too big? Like, how do you know what I mean? How do you do follow personal touches? Like, any advice for that?
Allied partners. You give them to help, you have co-sponsor it with your lender, your
Are you talking
attorney.
about how are you gonna pay for it, or?
Like, how would you work it out? How would you
You get-
use that
To get help for the event itself?
to get how do you say
ROI.
ROI or
Yeah, you know what, it's, especially farming is the long game, you know what I mean? So it's gonna take time. And that's where, remember when I lost my train of thought?
Yeah,
It was on the
yeah,
ROI.
yeah.
So, and this probably is against the Red Brook, so I probably shouldn't say this, but
Oh, come
I,
on, say it.
I'm
Let's
gonna,
hear it.
say it. With
Jerry,
our
are you
clients events,
listening?
yeah, is he listening? Or is this recorded? I look at it as part of our 36 touch. I don't say, oh my gosh, we didn't get anything out of the dog event. That was a waste of money and time. We didn't get anything, because we do it. It's all in timing, and it's an expensive touch in your 36 touch is how I would look at it.
Yeah.
It's all to me. And then at the end of the year, we say, how many referrals, how many repeat clients did we get? What do we spend on every card we sent to our client in our database on every event? And then did we make money? And last year, 81% of our transactions were repeat and referral. So yeah, we got the ROI.
Yeah, and I would just say that probably not I mean, obviously sponsors, probably not a popular response for other lenders, but I'm gonna say it anyways, because the way I feel very strongly on this is I feel like it should be about the realtor who's throwing the event and not the lender, meaning you should partner with people that are okay with you being in the spotlight. Agents do enough for realtors every single day, and it doesn't need to be, all about, I think it needs to be about the realtor, and the lender can sponsor, and you can get compliant, sponsorships that way. But I see too many events where it's like, it looks kind of messy, because there's too much. So I think sponsoring with someone and getting the right sponsors that can help you out and maybe create some of the bodies that you need to kind of help out with some of that, I think it's a good strategy. But I always set aside, I know how much I'm going to spend on events every quarter, and I set aside money every single loan I close for that. And I think it just has to be a part of your business plan, or you're just not going to justify it later. You'll find other ways to spend the money than events.
I can't seem to remember if this question has already been asked, but as far as attendance, do you see better attendance with on-site, like meaning events held at the office, or off-site?
So for me, I think it depends on the type of event and the experience of the event and what they're going to be doing at the event. If it's something solely just, come hang out with me, then you're probably not going to get as many people than if you have like our, Chris Kringle Market or one of these events where they're going to bring their families, they're going to stop by and say hello. So I think it really depends. I think the days of the week matter. I think the times matter. You got to know what else is going on in town. You got to know if there's a school event. You got to remember too, in the summertime, I have a 7-year-old son. I mean, he's in 3 sports right now. We're going nonstop. A lot of parents are very, very busy. So you got to be very strategic about when you host an event, and you just gotta, you gotta be, and you're gonna learn from it. What day of the week works better. Weekends I don't think are good, just for me personally. Weekdays are best. We've had our best turnouts on weekdays, which probably goes against the grain for a lot of people, but we've had our best turnouts. So you got to be mindful of a lot of those things. I'm sorry, I'm taking up all. I would say for me,
Wait,
yeah,
Chris asked what day of the week works best.
for us, like for our realtor events, like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are by far the best. Realtors, for me, you guys are working on the weekend. So the last thing I want to do is host an event on a weekend and say, do you want to go show someone a house or you want to come see me? Like, obviously we know what's going to happen. So for client events, it's different. It's a little bit different on the weekend, but again, it depends on the event. We did a car wash one time on an evening where we let everyone get a free car wash, like customers. We worked with the car wash, we got a discount. And anybody who came through that day and mentioned my name got a free car wash. We've done it with Starbucks, where you can actually just put on Facebook stories where you put a Starbucks year code and people can go get, Starbucks. Those are considered events, I know some loan officers will sit there at the car wash, or that I don't do it for that. I don't want them to think like they have to come. I'm just trying to stay top of mind. That's all how I look at it. So again, it depends on the event for me, on the day of the week or when, and timing.
Yeah, this is just to go off the block party like you were talking about. So I'm deciding to do this year, and to kind of cut the cost, I just teamed up with some neighbors and introduced myself. We just moved 6 months ago, so it was kind of a good way to get in the neighborhood. And we actually I dragged my husband and my dog, and they loved it. But we just took the wagon and had like a little bag, and it just had a save the date for the block party, and just said just popping by to save the date with some popcorn. I think it's like I try to overcomplicate everything, and I just called my town and rented out the block party wagon. I booked off the date, and sometimes that's the biggest thing that people appreciate, is just taking the time to plan that. And then we're gonna go back once more in about a month with my neighbor and just hang some things with an Eventbrite and like a sign up genius to bring food. But people just appreciate you planning it, so you don't have to like overthink it and do everything. I think just kind of being the head person is good enough.
Justice Kenny.
Not a question, but my favorite, I've done a favorite event, and my all-time favorite one is Kane County Cougars, because Eric, you just mentioned have something in place that all they had to do is just show up and there. Kane County Cougars, I believe it was like a $6 ticket, and then there was like they got $10 worth of bucks that they could spend there. So they could use that $10 for a shirt, or they could have used it for food or beer, whatever. So that was the easiest thing. And then I just got a chance to walk around and say hello to them. It was a beautiful night. That was in 2019, so I haven't had it since.
And what's cool is if they post on it and say like, hey, here with
Right. Well,
thanks to my realtor for, and then now you get all this free advertising out there.
Well, what I would do is I would go around at Facebook Live, and then I would just ask them about their experience, how you enjoying the game, what was your experience like, working with me.
Yeah.
So it was a win-win all day long. Also, you also mentioned about Rotary Grow Fest, which is coming up on June 23rd through June 26th.
Yeah.
What's cool about that is those wristbands you're talking about.
Yeah.
Those are for a VIP tent.
Yeah.
So anybody that comes there, you're giving these people a chance to go to the VIP.
Yeah.
So it's even better than that. And if you need any sponsorship information, I'm a Downers Grove Rotarian. So
There we go.
hit me up after the meeting and we'll fix you up. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think the Kane County Cougars event is a perfect example of, it doesn't matter if nobody shows up, because nobody knows, because there's a stadium full of people.
Exactly.
So it's more
You can take
the,
a picture of a group of people in the
Yeah.
This is my.
Having a blast with the Kane County Cougars.
with
Go
like your three
Cougars.
people that you invited in there. Yeah.
Right, right.
10 at 6,500.
And that means
But
you
Meredith,
spent 18 bucks, you
That's
know?
a great point, because even if you just decided you were gonna do the Starbucks code, which we've done before too, and you just put so much money on a gift card and you share the code, you go Facebook Live. Nobody knows, like, but you are out there, you're promoting yourself. It's something so easy to just say you're giving back and this is what you're doing, and nobody knows
So
if they went and got a coffee, but you're doing it.
Yeah.
So I went over to the Pollock's office. It was National Coffee Day. The day after they promoted like free coffee.
Yep.
I'm like, oh my gosh, how successful is that? Because I figured it'd be a huge hit. Wendy's like, no one bought a cup of coffee, but we got so many hits.
2,000 views on the video.
And it was
and-
$0.
And $0.
I wish.
Yeah.
Everyone uses
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's because you're targeting realtors and we're like, yeah, we'll go get a free cup of coffee.
But that's,
No.
but that's the impact, and I would say to anyone that's starting out, that's gonna do an event, even like Mark this summer for Father's Day, he's gonna do dads and drafts, and just meet me at this local place and I'll buy you a beer for Father's Day. It's $4. And it's just something super easy. And I would just start out small and just build yourself.
I would just say that on that, I love that idea. I think it's great. I think the more I see a lot of the same events being held. You know, someone will do a great event and then you have everyone kind of do the same event.
The pie event.
Exactly. Like I love the idea of making it different, because I think that is, and most of the clients don't know, but again, you're building a brand. I think events and brand have to be aligned very much for it to be successful, because if you're not into it and you're just going through the motions, it's going to reflect in the event. There you go. So you guys, yeah, we did that. Yeah.
Any other questions? Comments, suggestions?
Okay. We told you guys you would all get some information to walk away with. So give me 1 second. I'm pulling up the screen, and if you guys scan this QR code, it's going to be, a whole event plan and some lists of different things, event ideas for different times of the year and everything. So go ahead and scan that, and you guys will always have access to it then. So that was my 2 cents for you.
I have invites for everyone to my Top Gun event.
Oh.
So you don't have to use me to come to the event. It's for the city of Downers Grove, so you can bring family. I have the invites. It's really nothing to do with guaranteed rate. It's just, the Tivoli has, and Downers Grove, for those of you who are aware, have struggled a lot to get people to come back to the movies. And if you've never been to the Tivoli, it's a very, iconic place. So this is our way to kind of give back to Downers Grove. So we'd love to, you can invite family and whatever. And again, it's free drinks, free food, and you get to see a brand new movie the night before it comes out. So.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you, panelists,
Yeah.
for your
Thank you.
expertise. We really appreciate you
I was
coming.
gonna say the same thing.
Yeah. So now we're gonna do our breakouts, but we're gonna do it all here, like little
Yes.
sessions. If
So-
you want to stay for more information, more detailed information.
Right. A big, huge thank you to everybody up here. You guys did mention a lot of things tech related, right? Because this whole event is called Techo Tuesday, right? So what does tech have to do with client events? You mentioned Google Forms, invitation systems, follow-up systems, social media, all that kind of stuff, right? So now the rest of the day, we're going to do workshops. So if you guys want to stay, you can have your laptops or just listen and take notes. Meredith's going to kick it off with some event systems and how you invite. Wow. Eventbrite, it starts with an event. She's going to talk about some invitation systems. Brandon's going to talk about social media, and then we'll do a little mastermind about how to follow up with people and how we can use smart plans or automated touches to do that as well. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, guys. Nice to meet you. Thanks, Eric.
Okay, stay tuned, Naperville. We got to reset a little bit. Do we need bathroom breaks or anything? No, we're good. Okay.
I'm just gonna set these up here if it's all right, if anybody wants them.
Thank you. Yeah, Sam Schroeder did a movie about there and it was really successful. They
Yeah.
Put her name on the marquee and stuff.
Yeah, we actually did it yesterday. We filmed a little something that they're gonna play.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I was walking around with a bomber jacket and aviators out front of the movie theater, and everyone, it was nice outside. Everyone was sitting outside of GMO like, what the heck is this guy doing? Yeah, what is going on? Yeah. So it was funny. I was, yeah. So,
When my son saw the
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he's 16.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
He was like, oh, that looks kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, you don't
Has he
even know
seen
what
the
that
original?
is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You gotta,
So we
yeah,
should
yeah,
watch
yeah,
it.
exactly. Yeah.
It's like Star Wars.
You saw the movie?